Hello and welcome to today's episode of the A-List. Today I'm joined by a very good friend of mine who is a producer, writer, director, comedian, Chelsea McEvoy.
Yeah, right.
Thank you for coming.
Thanks for having me. What are we doing today?
We're going to play some silly games.
Perfect.
The game is I sit in this chair, you sit in that chair, and we talk to each other.
It's my favorite game.
Right?
I love it.
We play this game not as often as we should.
It's true.
You're wearing an OSIF hat.
I am. I'm repping the OSIF.
What is OSIF?
OSIF is the Okanagan Society of Independent Filmmaking.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this is a
This is a non-for-profit based in the Okanagan. Became a non-profit in 2003, but it was started by like some renegade underground kind of filmmakers. They'd go for coffee, they'd go for beer, they'd like chat about ideas, they'd collaborate, and then it just became like snowballed into this non-profit group. And I am proud to say that I am the president for the last 2 years, and very humbled to be the president.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So, when did you join OSIF? Was it just 2 years ago, or have you been on the board before?
I haven't been on the board before, but I have been a part of OSIF since 2007.
Oh, that's pretty close to its first iteration.
Yeah. I knew about it right out of high school. You know, I started doing student film festivals. I was a filmmaker in high school and knew that was always what I wanted to do. And OSIF was always there as a community, as a support system.
Did you grow up in the Okanagan?
I did. I grew up in Kelowna. I went to school in Rutland. Where is this? Which had a fabulous film program there. So that's kind of how I got involved in film.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay. I didn't know that.
No,
I thought you were from lands afar or something.
Yeah. My family is from northwestern Ontario, but moved out here when I was born. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And just kind of speaking about family for a quick sec, your heritage is?
I'm Anishinaabe, so my family is from a reserve called Windigo Island, which is northwestern Ontario. Yeah!
Okay, so the Wendigo is one of my favorite legends and stories, but I'll put that aside for a moment. That's great.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Oh man, so we'll have to talk a little more about that and maybe develop something together. That's
agree.
wild.
Yeah.
So you knew that you wanted to be a filmmaker very early on. How did you know that this was what you wanted to do?
Yeah, it was a pretty organic pull. I always knew I wanted to be an artist, but I didn't succeed in any art form.
So, like, did you practice in other art media?
Yeah, I took dance, I took art, like drawing, I took poetry, writing. Like I wanted to express myself in an artistic way, but didn't really succeed at any of it. I tried acting, theater, singing. I tried all of the things.
What do you say you weren't successful? Like what were you?
It never really conveyed my message of like what I wanted to put out to the world, and I knew I wasn't really like succeeding in any of them. I could I could get by, but the minute I made my first film, I like instantly went, oh, this is what I need to do.
What was your first film?
Oh, it was so cute. It was about an old farmer with Alzheimer's, and I shot it at like my old where I kind of grew up in Joe Rich in a like dilapidated barn. So it was pretty cool. It was very artistic. There was no audio. It was just kind of like moving pictures. But I went to a couple student film festivals with it and won. And I knew kind of right there that was my path.
That's wild. So, how old were you?
I was probably about 16.
16.
Yeah.
Okay, and that was the first movie that you kind of put together yourself and saw your whole vision through.
Totally.
And you mentioned festivals, so you've since graduating high school and that you've done other film festivals.
Yeah.
What a lot.
Yeah.
What's been the largest or the one that you hold closest to your heart?
For film festivals?
Yeah.
probably one Ryan Tebbett and I just won out of Cincinnati, and it was a big disability film festival, and we won Best Documentary. And so I was pretty proud of that one, and I'll hold that one in my heart. It happened during COVID, so we had to attend the festival online, which was unfortunate. But yeah, I felt like that was the one that I wanted to win.
Wow.
Yeah, and so I'm proud of us for that.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, it was really
And so, for what movie was that?
Reinventing the Wheel. So it was a feature film that we completed in 2020, and that was funded by TELUS Story Hive, and it was a feature film about a newly injured paraplegic and a community of people in chairs showing him the ropes on how to live life in a wheelchair.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Sounds fantastic. Little secret, I've seen the movie. I'm a massive fan of it, and it's coming up in a festival coming up. I don't know. This episode might air after the festival. But OSIF's doing this festival coming up. Yeah.
Yeah. So OSIF is putting on its first Okanagan Screen Awards this Saturday, February 25th, which I'm sure when this comes out, it's going to be
people are going to be watching
done.
April of 2024.
Exactly, but I hope it's a success. So we'll find out. But we're very excited. It's huge. We've had over 80 submissions. We're showing 75 films on 2 screens simultaneously.
Wow.
All local content creators. It's crazy.
Wow.
It's crazy. And the films are so good. It's awesome.
Oh, that sounds exciting.
I'm so excited.
Let's put the OSIF to the side for a moment and get back to, I want to ask you 2 things. One is, you said your first film was basically documentary. It was about this farmer, right?
Yeah.
And then your film that you were just talking about was documentary. Is that a genre that you prefer, or is it something that you naturally fell into?
Yeah, I think my career has evolved a lot since high school. I got into film really wanting to stick with narrative. I really liked telling stories and writing and kind of creating my own little worlds within that. I went to college in Thunder Bay to take filmmaking, and there I still wanted to really stick with that narrative timeline. I made one documentary in college and was like, this is not for me. I do not like it. I don't like this format. And also tried my hand at assistant directing in college, and again was like, I don't like this. It's not for me. And then I get out of college, I instantly get thrown in an assistant directing role, and was in that kind of world for about 3 or 4 years. And then I also just migrated to doing full-time documentary filmmaking for the last 5 years. So things that I didn't think I wanted to do, I just kind of fell into it. And
what's your temperature on it? Like, do you enjoy it?
I do. Yeah. I've been pleasantly surprised and I loved assistant directing, and I loved it. I didn't think I would, but I did. I loved it, and I loved that role, and then I love documentary filmmaking. The goal is always to be a narrative filmmaker, so I'd love to dive back into that, and I dabble in it when I can. But that's always the goal, is to get back to that format.
Why aren't you assistant directing right now? Or
yeah, I fell in love. I fell in love, and I wanted to start a family, and sometimes the film industry can kind of take over, and so I was spending a lot of time on set and not a lot of time with my family and my friends. So after a couple of years, I just had to readjust my priorities, and I'm very grateful for that part of my life. But I'm happy now to be spending time with my friends and family, and also spending time on my stories and my career.
So how do you balance that? I know film is kind of like you alluded to. It can be a time exhauster, right? It can just kind of come in and gobble all of it up. So how do you find that balance?
I don't know. How do you, Matt? You're a dad, you're an actor, you have kids. I don't know. Yeah. I mean, I don't have the answer.
My secret is get a clone.
A clone?
Yeah. I don't know.
No, I think just making sure you have your priorities straight.
Right.
You know, you have to prioritize. And I wasn't doing that for a long time, but I was also very young and didn't know what my priorities were. But I think it's very important for people to find. I have very lovely, amazing friends in the film industry who do balance that work life, you know, and so it's doable and it's possible, but you just gotta prioritize.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And do you also have circles of friends that have nothing to do with film, or like?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I think that's important too. I think it's important to have peers and like peer support and rely on people that really understand your language, such as yourself. Like I can call you up and talk to you about like anything to do with film related, but then it's also good to have like that circle of friends that has, you know, nothing to do with the industry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
a good balance.
Yeah, I think that is what helps balance things out because, you know, in my experience, and you can share if you agree with this, but film can be sort of a vacuum.
Yeah, totally.
You know, like not just with time, but just like all of the resources that you have, like your mental capacity in that, right?
And I feel like, I don't know if you feel this, but like anytime I'm quiet and sitting with myself, all I think about are stories and shots and visuals. And I'm like, oh, just give yourself a break, Chelsea. But it's just, I think it's innate in us as creatives, you know. Anytime you're sitting quiet, you're thinking about, you know, another world or another story or another character. So.
Do you find that you can get yourself a break? Like, is there anything that you do that sort of allows you to depart?
Exercise.
Really?
Yeah, I think so. I think that allows you to like quiet your mind a little bit and just focus on your body. So I should do that a lot more. But I do find that's the one thing that has like really helped quiet my mind. Yeah.
That's great. Yeah, I think I have to agree with you. I mean, exercise, of course, comes in many forms.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's, you know, when done in the right amount, of course, you get the mental health aspect of it and the physical health aspect of it.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I said I had two questions going back to you talking about your documentary, and the other one that's kind of burning is you talked about the one that you and Ryan Tevitt did for 2020 was Tell Us Hive?
Yeah, Tell Us Story Hive.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So talk a little bit about that because I think, you know, there's probably a little bit of mystique in around because that's funding, like, right? That's funding from Tell Us.
Yes.
How does that happen?
Yeah, it's a fabulous program. I will always talk about Tell Us Story Hive. And then the Story Hive program by Tell Us is for emerging filmmakers, which, you know, I got my first round of funding with a short documentary called Real Love with Ryan Tevitt as well. He directed it, I produced it, and it was about my partner and I trying to get pregnant. My husband is a T6, T7 paraplegic, and it was about our journey through like disability and infertility. And that was my first documentary that received that amount of funding. It was $60,000 that we received for that, and it was an opportunity for us to really see how funding in that capacity could enhance our storytelling and how to properly budget out of film. So
okay. So did you make the film and then get the funding, or did the funding come first and then, like, what's kind of the process?
Yeah, so what happens is you do a pitch, a video pitch and a written pitch, and it goes to like a panel, and then they kind of decide who gets the funding. There's a lot of like, I think it was like, I can't even say how many, but there's a lot of packages that they handed out through Alberta in British Columbia. But their focus is more on rural communities.
Oh, really?
Which is lovely. Yeah, so really broadening the scope of artists into those little tiny communities. So I did a pitch and I got it. I did pitch to Story Hive before, like 2 times, and did not get it. But I kept with it. And I did receive it. They do send you to Vancouver for like a little session with all of the other reward recipients. So you get to meet everyone else whose projects are going to happen, and then they talk about, you know, like how to deliver your projects, how to like properly, you know, work with this funding.
Do they give you deadlines?
They give you hard, strict deadlines, and they also give you mentors. So, like other industry professionals team up with you, and you check in with them and send them rough cuts, or you're able to ask them questions. So I was set up with another female documentary filmmaker out of Vancouver.
Okay.
She was lovely, and yeah, so the process is awesome. It's really cool, and you get 80% of the funding up front to tell your story, and then you get 20%, the other 20% upon delivery.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's go back to the. You had said you tried twice.
Yeah.
Before you did get the funding.
Yeah.
What kept you going? Like, did they give you feedback and said like you're on the right track, or you just relentless?
Yeah, I didn't get any feedback, but I thought, you know, I'd just keep going with it because I had really good stories that I wanted to tell.
Were you pitching different ideas each time?
Different ideas each time. Yeah.
Okay, so do you feel like it was your idea that, like the third idea that was the one that got you across the finish line, or was it just like timing, or was it even the way that you prepared your pitch different?
I think it was just the experience of like practicing grant writing and pitch videos, you know.
So there's a grant writing component to it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you know, you have to have your log line, your synopsises, your kind of treatment, your budget. And that was the first time me doing it. So I think it was a little bit rusty and maybe my idea wasn't solid. But I think the more times you do it, you are going to get that funding, whether it be with TELUS or any grant application. But you also really have to read over the grant application and what they're looking for. Like if they're looking for community-oriented stories, you're not going to pitch them a horror film, you know? So you really have to like decipher the language and what that grant wants to deliver. So that's my advice for anyone looking for funding or grant.
So step one, like, how did you find out about TELUS Story Hive? Like,
they're really good at marketing. I think I just like saw it come across my Facebook page.
Okay. So then you said, hey, yeah, I'm curious about this. You know, I want to make a film and I need some funding.
Mm-hmm.
You went, presumably they have a website, or is that the first point of engagement? Yeah,
storyhive.com. You go there and it's got all the info on how to apply and what funding opportunities are coming up. Like right now there's a ton of funding opportunities for documentaries and like journalism and stuff. So.
You'd mentioned narrative as well. Mm-hmm. Story Hive doesn't fund narrative?
No, but I do believe they have done a couple web series grant applications.
In the same like Story Hive?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So a web series could be narrative, or it has to be a web series doc?
I believe it could have been narrative back in the day. I'm not sure if they do it anymore. I know a lot of their focus is on community engagement and storytelling. But yeah, there was a component of a web series, and then also they did do a music video series, which I was funded for. So I did get a music video funded, which was excellent.
How many times have you been funded by TELUS?
I think I've been funded 3 times.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the first one is the short doc?
Short doc.
The next one was the music video?
Yeah, and feature doc.
And then a feature doc.
Which the feature doc, Ryan and I always love to say is, you know, we got the same funding for the feature doc as we did for Wheel Love, which was a 22-minute film.
Oh, wow.
And so we really, really stretched that funding out because we felt that us as filmmakers needed to tell a story, a longer formatted story. So we had this funding, but we really stretched it thin in order to get us over the hump into feature doc storytelling, which was
where does the funding kind of go, or like what is a filmmaker typically spending on?
For us, a lot of it was travel, wages for sound design, because we have access to our own equipment. We were able to save a lot of money there. But also, like, what surprised me a lot is a lot of the funding went into music. You know?
Are you paying yourselves?
We are paying ourselves, yeah, but with that amount of funding, we paid ourselves not a lot. Like, we were on a ramen diet for a little bit, you know, just to get this story done. But Yeah, a lot of the funding goes into different avenues, travel, you know, any kind of graphics. We did a lot of like animation and visual graphics and that, sound design. We bought a song from one of our favorite bands, Moon Tricks, and so going through a lot of the legal aspects. You know, we got a broadcast license for AMI, so we got to broadcast it on Canadian television.
Did you have to buy the broadcast license?
No.
Or they pay you?
They pay us, but
Okay.
what we didn't see coming was, of course, E&O insurance. And with E&O insurance, to get a broadcast license, you have to hire an entertainment lawyer and insurance that way. So a lot of costs came up that we weren't aware of at the time, but now are going into our next film. So.
You have a next film?
Hopefully.
Oh, okay,
Hopefully
okay.
Always is a next film.
I thought maybe this was a reveal.
Ta-da! There's always a next film, Matt.
Yeah.
Matt
for
Clark Brown. There's always a next film. There's never going to be not a next film. Yeah.
Well, that's good. The perpetuity, is that a word?
Perpetuity? I don't think it is. I think it's, I don't know.
The perpetual wheel of poetry?
Oh, gosh.
So I'm super curious in this Tell Us Hive thing because I think one of the most intimidating gaps in filmmaking is sourcing funds. And I think a lot of filmmakers or people that want to be filmmakers have really great stories that they're very, very passionate about and are often held back by, you know, budget or not knowing those steps. So looking at the 2 times that you didn't get funding to the 3 times that you did, what do you, like, I know you alluded to just being maybe a little bit more realized in the idea, but was there something else that you learned from the first time that you got funding that made the second and third time easier, or?
Yeah, language and understanding where your funding is coming from and what they want to see, you know, so you can tailor your idea to your funder's language in a sense. So if you're going after a government grant or a community grant, you really have to read what they want to deliver, and you can fine tune your pitch into their language in what they want. Like I said, you don't want to deliver a horror film pitch if they're looking for like a community documentary.
And so were you the one doing the grant writing, or did you and Ryan share that, or?
But yeah, we definitely like I did spearhead a lot of the documentary writing, but Ryan has done a lot of doc writing and grant writing himself, so kind of go back and forth and feed off of each other. Yeah, it's good to have like a partner and like someone. It's hard to make a movie by yourself, right? And when you find someone you jive with and that you really complement each other's work, it's very rare to find that, and I hope that everyone does find that person. It's pretty cool. Yeah, Ryan and I have been working together for like 10 years, so yeah.
It was wild.
Yeah.
And I think, you know, that's, you know, you probably agree, it's very, very common in the film industry, right? Like when you find the formula that's working, because it's very difficult, and a lot of it is very intimidating. I think some of it doesn't necessarily need to be intimidating, or it's just, you know, just not knowing. And then once you do know, it's like, oh, okay, well, you know, this is fairly straightforward.
Exactly. And having that partner to kind of like ride that out with is also very beneficial. You don't feel feel as alone, right? And it's nice to like feed back and forth from each other. So, yeah.
And so here's another one that I think is got some mystique around. You mentioned Moon Tricks, which, oh my gosh.
Oh my gosh, I know.
Yeah.
I love them.
How do you get music licensing?
I mean, that is something I'm still trying to work out for music licensing. I am very much a baby producer, and I'm really like working on how to navigate this world, and I'm doing it a lot by making a lot of mistakes. But in this case, we just reached out, told them the story. We emailed the band, and then they gave us the contact for their label, and we just reached out to the label, and they gave us a price, and we negotiated, and that's how we got the song.
So does the band have any influence in terms of that negotiation, or is it all just the label and the band is?
Yeah, it was more the label and convincing them. The band would have been like, "Yeah, here's the song," but like I mean, it's more about convincing that label,
Right.
Which, and luckily for us, didn't take a lot of convincing. They loved the story, so.
Are they on a smaller label or?
I'm not certain that actually. We were just very excited that we got the song.
Yeah, fair
We
enough.
didn't look too far into it, but
So, like, when you reached out to them, though, that it was very accessible, like, there was, the conversation went back and forth in a timely manner?
yeah, and it's a Canadian label too, right? So, I mean, that helps. But for another instance, we're doing a pitch right now for a feature narrative, and we're trying to get a song for it, and it's been a real struggle trying to contact the label. So, it's been like 6 months of trying to contact these people. So,
Wow.
I also just think it's raw perseverance sometimes and being a little bit annoying, you know. So I think sometimes you just gotta keep knocking.
That's been a little bit of my experience. You know,
Yeah.
I haven't successfully linked together licensing. I have reached out on different songs and that, and it's I find it to be maybe not the most important part of film, but for me, music is just, it takes me there. You know, if I'm listening to a song in the car, you talked about sitting and having images and stories come up.
Yeah.
Music does that for me. Sound does that for me. And I think, I'm not exclusive there.
Yeah.
So yeah, I've found that part to be, and I'm sure there's other filmmakers out there who are wondering the same thing. Like, you have this song, it's perfect for what you need.
Yeah.
And then how do you come about it?
You know what really helped me start, and like I really imagine today having a lawnmower as a soundtrack to this interview. So
or like a blower, leaf blower.
I brought them in today just for you, so I hope you appreciate.
It makes it very rural
I know,
for Tell Us Five.
I thought so.
And
but what really helped me was I started honing in my skills in music videos and shooting music videos for local bands. I did it for free, but in return they gave me their music for free. So I've saved thousands of dollars on music in my films by just using very talented local musicians.
Oh,
and it's been a very good trade. Like, it really paid off for both of us.
So you've done music videos. Obviously the song that you're doing the music video for isn't what you're getting, like, for that video.
Yeah.
But like you're talking about doing like a different project where you use their song.
Yeah, absolutely. I've worked with a lot of musicians in Kelowna, and then done some favors, done some music videos, and then when it's my time to edit a documentary, I'm like, hey, can I use this song in my film? It works perfect. And so if you watch a lot of my films, like, the majority of the music in them are actual local musicians, and I've been friends with this audio engineers that do the song, so they're able to take out lyrics, or they're able to take out vocals at certain points and like kind of tailor it to my film. Yeah, so that's a good piece of advice for like people who are starting and don't have a lot of money to pay for music, because it can be very expensive. Hone in your skill and work with some local bands, and then hopefully they'll just like trade these.
That's really good advice.
I hope so.
Yeah.
I'm not here to give bad advice. I mean, I could do that too.
I was gonna say. So before we let you go, I have two things for you. We're gonna play a game.
I love games.
I know you do.
Is Sally involved?
But before we play a game, I want to know. You gotta tell me. No, I got a couple questions.
A couple?
Yeah.
Okay, you're keeping me.
I already know the answer to this. Have you ever worked with a famous person?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Do you have any like horror stories without mentioning names?
Yes.
Give it to me.
No!
Yes, you don't have to mention a name.
Oh my gosh, one actor asked me to slap him every day to get him into character, and I'd never do it, and it made him so mad.
Oh, well, okay. That's
We
not
would
too
kind
bad,
of
is
like
it?
fight every morning because he'd want me to hit him and I wouldn't hit him, and then he'd get mad at me.
Wow. That's kind of a cool story.
It's not a cool story.
Yeah,
It
I
wasn't
think
cool at
it's
the
probably
time.
Bill Pullman.
No.
No, it's just because I'm imagining his character in Sinners, where he like
I
likes
have-
to be stepped on.
I've had some like strange encounters with people on set, but also just lovely. Can I tell you like lovely stories?
That was my next question.
Oh, I have way more lovely stories.
Give me
so
your best one.
I'll give you two. I worked with Christopher Lloyd from Back to the Future, and
You did?
I did, and I know. He was just such a fabulous man, and not at all like his characters. Like once you press record, he is on, he is crazy, he's like just this amazing character, and then as soon as you yell cut, he's just very like subdued, very quiet, and very lovely and present, and he rolls his own tobacco. Like he rolls his own cigarettes, and he listens to opera in his trailer. So like there's just opera blaring out of the trailer at Circus. And one day we were sitting having a break, and I was sitting next to him, and we were looking out at Okanagan Lake, and like he was teaching me how to roll tobacco.
Wow. Chelsea, I can't have anybody else on the show now.
It was so cool.
You just like mic drop.
Oh, I have an even better one.
Okay, let's hear it.
So I was working with Anthony Hopkins, which was always my goal. I always wanted to work with Anthony Hopkins, and once I did, I kind of quit the film industry after that because I'm like, I've peaked. This is what I wanted to do. So I started making documentaries. But yeah, a couple stories about Anthony. He's a very amazing man. It was such an honor to work with him, and we were sitting having a break in this old house, and there was this really old grand piano, and I was sitting on the piano bench, and he was sitting there, and he played me and a couple of crew members a symphony that he wrote on the piano. It was so cool. Yeah. And then there was just like, I loved how playful, and like, you know, he's been on sets almost his entire life and like acting, but how much he loved the industry, you know, like I was cueing him for a scene to like walk through a door, and they yelled action, and I had to wait to cue him, and he turns around and he looks at me and he goes, Chelsea, we're making a movie. Like, it was his first time making a movie. How cool is that? You know, working with people like that is just so cool. And it makes you love, you know, the industry as well.
Right.
Like, he was just like a kid. Like, he was like, we're making a movie. Can you believe it? You know, I'm like, yeah, you do this all the time. But he just loves it. He loves his job. It's so cool. Yeah.
Well, and I mean, the industry's tough, right? The hours are
Yeah.
long, and you know, you can be shooting overnight and stuff like that. And it's when you have a lead, you know, especially an A-list lead,
Yeah.
you know, they kind of, for me, are like the captain of a team. They can set the temperature,
Yes.
right, and follow suit with that. So
Yeah.
what a fortune to have
Oh,
that kind of.
so cool.
Yeah.
I'm like, how do you top this? You really can't. I'm gonna go make a doc. But yeah, I've had some really blessed moments on set and have met like lifelong friends. It really is a wonderful industry. I always say, you know, I'm always like, oh, I'm tired and I'm, you know, exhausted and stuff. But, you know, if you work hard, you really meet like a family unit. And it's always sad when that film or that project ends, right? It always feels a little weird leaving. But yeah, I highly recommend everyone to get involved and get on set and experience that. So cool.
Lucky. Are you ready for the game?
Yeah,
All right.
let's do it.
Cue pretty music. You have 10 seconds. You get to list off 5 movies that make it from today on for the rest of history. Every other movie gets wiped out of existence and never was ever made. Okay, top 5 movies, and 10 seconds starts now.
Legends of the Fall. Why are you doing this to me? Why did I say Legends of the Fall?
4 more movies.
4 more movies. I really love Superbad. I really love, oh my gosh, why are you doing this to me?
Oh.
Why? I'm not
Only 2 movies are going to be watched by the rest of humans.
Superbad and Legends of
Better come up with 3 more.
I have a favorite movie.
Give it to me.
I don't remember the name of it.
Synopsis, logline. What is it? Oh no.
Can I Google it?
No.
What? I can't Google
But
it.
we'll Google it after and we'll put it in the comments.
Oh, of my favorite movie?
Yeah.
My favorite movie, and I never remember the name of it. I'm also gonna go with, Jesus Christ.
Riding with Jesus? Riding with Jesus Christ?
Why is it
Dude, you're so bad at this game. You're
Legends of the Fallen. What are, like, those are the 2. I need, like, a second. I can't do this.
No.
It's so
This is the game though.
Okay, then I'm gonna go with Killer Rotten Tomatoes. Killer Tomatoes.
Killer
Killer
Tomatoes.
Tomatoes.
Attack of the Killer.
Attack of the Killer Tomatoes. And then I'm gonna go with Mars Attacks.
And then your favorite movie,
And then
which is whatever it is.
I don't know why I said those. Those are the ones that just came out. I haven't seen
my
Mars Attacks
gosh.
since I was a kid.
Well, thank God. Coneheads.
But that's not my favorite movie. But one just came to my mind too. Coneheads is a good one. What a great film, Coneheads. It was just a bunch of family with like
Dan
really
Aykroyd.
big heads.
Based off an SNL skit that Dan Aykroyd wrote.
No way.
Yeah.
Oh, I do like Anchorman too. Oh, now they're just coming up. I love comedy. Anchorman.
That's good.
Superbad.
Maybe you should do a comedy in the future.
The Hangover. Oh, that's a good one. I should do a comedy in the future. Maybe it'll involve a school bus.
Look for an upcoming comedy with a school bus by Chelsea McEvoy in the future.
Do it. Thank you. Thanks, bye. Never play that game again. Bye, thank you. I do have a favorite film.